Hi, I'm Lisha and welcome to Thriving Plants. Today I'm going to show you how you can collect seeds from what you grow in your garden. I have a ripe cantaloupe. I've cut it in half, not very well. You're going to need a tablespoon so you can scoop the seeds out. I've just found a tablespoon works better. You'll want 2 tablespoons of water. You're going to need a glass jar to put the pulp and seeds in after you scoop them out. I just have this bowl to stick the cantaloupe in once I get the seeds out of it. You're also going to need a paper towels, paper plates. You'll need a glass jar. I use a mason jar with the lid. I also use a moisture absorbing packet because you don't want any moisture in your seeds. It will ruin them. And you're also going to place this in the freezer once you have collected them, because they will keep for 2 to 5 years if you keep them in the freezer. Now, the reason you're going to want this glass jar and the water is because you're going to use a process called fermenting to help you store your seeds. And what it does is it helps to break down this slimy little coat that you're going to feel on the outside of these seeds. And that coating actually prevents these seeds from sprouting while they're still inside. Then once it falls to the ground and it begins to rot away, these seeds will come out, and then next year they'll germinate. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to get this jar and go ahead and take this pulp out of here. I do try to separate the seeds from the pulp a little bit so I don't end up with a whole bunch of it in there. The spoon works really well for doing that. I try to scrape off what I can. And you just kind of push this pulp out of the way because you're not going to want any of it really. You're going to try to keep it as much out of there as you can. I'm just going to collect the seeds from this one for now, just to kind of make it a little easier to get this stuff out of the way. A couple more. Okay, now I'll go ahead and take these ones out. A lot more pulp in this one since I didn't get the cantaloupe cut in half very well, which happens sometimes. What can you do? This one obviously has a lot more pulp. I'm going to use the spoon, kind of pull out as much seed as I can possibly get. Once these are all out of here, I'm going to throw the rest of them into that jar, and then I'm going to add the water to it. That I don't need every single one of them. I'm not going to grow that many cantaloupes next year, but since they do keep for a while, it doesn't hurt to have a lot. You can always give them away too. Now that I have all of that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add these 2 tablespoons of water to this. And that is going to start your fermenting process. You're going to kind of mix this a little bit. 2 or 3 times a day. You're going to ferment them for 2 to 5 days. I did stick a piece of wax paper over this with a rubber band. And then I poked some holes in the top because I have a cat that likes to eat cantaloupe. So if I don't cover this, he's going to stick his paw in there and knock it over and make a big mess. And then my seeds will be also ruined. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and take my paper towel. I'm just going to sit it on top of that stuff. It'll all dry anyway. And this is going to put some more on there. I'm going to pour some of this into this little bowl so it doesn't wet it too much on the paper towel and take forever to dry. So I'm going to put these onto here. I'm going to go ahead and take the bottom of this spoon and spread this out because I used to use my fingers to do this, and I have found that it is so much faster to use the bottom of a spoon because they do not stick all over the back of this spoon like they do my fingers. This is a lot faster. Now that I've done this, I'm going to let these sit and dry. And they need to dry for 2 to 3 weeks because you want them as dry as possible because, like I said, the moisture will ruin the storage of these seeds. So make sure you let them dry thoroughly. I put them in my pantry, which is dark and cool, so that they have the ability to dry. I also sit this on top of a baker's cooling rack just to get some more air under there to aid in the drying process. And it also makes them easier to move around once they do dry. I can just pick up the rack move it. Once they are completely dried out, I sort through them and I remove any seeds that are really small or really flat, because those seeds aren't going to germinate well, if at all. So I do take those out, and then I go ahead and put them into my jar. Like I said, I throw the moisture absorbing packet in there, and then go ahead and close them up tight and put them into my freezer. Also, you're going to want to label them, since these are actually called Minnesota midget cantaloupes, which I absolutely love. They're perfect for 2 to 3 people. Since I have a container garden, they grow really well in small spaces. I would label this cantaloupe and then put the date on here so that I can keep track of how old these seeds are, because I collect seeds every single year from my garden. So I need to know how old these are, being that they are only going to be good for about 5 years, because the larger the seeds are, the longer they're going to be good for. Thank you for joining me today. Please hit the subscribe button down below so you can catch my future videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye.